tell us more about Mia and what you're actually achieving in the PropTech space at the moment.
Thanks, Sarah. So at Mia, we help companies in the AEC space, so architecture, engineering, construction, automate manual workflows using AI. So typically that's any task that people are performing that are quite manual, repetitive, very data heavy. And we help these companies automate these workflows so that those people that are doing those tasks can focus their efforts on more value add work.
Amazing. And how have you found it being a woman in that industry? I want you to tell me that you join all of your calls, especially with the construction side, in that pink jacket.
I have to admit I haven't always been that bold.
Yeah.
I think in the past, especially early stages of my career, I probably tried to fit in more than stand out. But yeah, I've been in the construction industry space for my whole career. Before I founded Mia, I studied and worked as a structural engineer. I worked in that as a structural engineer for over a decade, and eventually went on to launch or spearhead a number of AI initiatives at the architecture engineering firm I was working on at the time, and helped them to launch their official innovation group within that company. So even before being a construction tech founder, I've been in the construction space from the more traditional industry side, and I've been very familiar with being one of the only women in the room,
Yeah.
or the few women in the office. So it's not something that's new to me. I think there's definitely been challenges throughout my career, due to that fact. I think you and I were chatting the other day, and one of the first award ceremonies I attended on behalf of the company, the line to the bathroom for the men's went around the corner and the women's was completely empty. And that's the only time I've been to an event and have that happen, which actually you can see as a positive, less of a challenge.
We have to take the wins where we can.
Exactly. But other more difficult experiences, like in a job interview, someone asking me about my family plans, which is not a question they would have asked to a male, aside from not being able to actually ask that question. Things like, I did very well in school. I got perfect GPA in university in my undergrad and master's, and my some male classmates would just directly attribute that to the fact that a certain professor liked me, as opposed to the reality, which is that I studied really, really hard to get those grades. So definitely, there's definitely challenges in the space, being a woman in the space. I think there has been a lot of progress that I've seen also throughout my career. Baby steps, not major progress, but just in terms of seeing more women in these roles, more women in leadership roles, more female founders, and also more funds that are dedicated to underrepresented founders in the space.
Taking or giving credit where credit's due, I guess. I just want to go back to one thing that you said before of how you were questioned about your family plans, because you actually have a very unique story in the sense of you've been a founder for the last 5 years, but in the space of that time, you've given birth to 2 beautiful children. I'm sure that was a journey and required a lot of juggling in itself. So tell me more about how you found that and how, you actually stayed afloat and have kept it going.
Definitely the biggest challenge so far, for sure. I'm based in Montreal, Quebec, and here I think we're really fortunate in that you can have a year of parental leave, so that can be split between a husband, a wife, a partner, and so I think that's super helpful in terms of being able to have that family and career as well at the same time. It's a challenge when you're starting a company and you're one of the co-founders. That system doesn't really work so well in that case. You can't really get a replacement co-founder when you're just starting a company. So and I don't know that there's necessarily a solution to that. It just it kind of is what it is. So having to balance pregnancy and newborns and then toddlers over the course of building a company has been difficult in terms of being able to prioritize and find time for everything. I think one of the things that actually helped me out when we were fundraising is that it was during COVID. And so all of our meetings with potential investors were on Zoom. And so, no one could tell that I was pregnant, which would have been challenging if I had to travel a lot or meet people in person. And so at least I was able to, the fact of the matter is that I did keep, my family planning to myself. I didn't want people to, come to conclusions about, my dedication to the business, or that, how the business was going to grow and advance and how serious we were about it. So that it shouldn't have mattered, but it played to my advantage in that sense. But I've also been very, very fortunate to have an amazing co-founder of Mia that's on this journey with me. Dan has been incredibly supportive and empathetic, and he actually also had 2 kids in the time we started our company. So we're both going through the same or similar experiences together and supporting each other and being understanding and flexible, and still being able to put a lot of energy and time and into the business and build it and grow it.
I think like what's a real testament to you, Sam, is like I feel like you're a living example of don't wait for the right time, because I feel there's so many barriers where you could be like, let me just have kids first, let me listen to the body clock first, or let me get my funding round out of the way and prioritize the family in a few years to come once this is up on its feet. It's uncomfortable. It must have been difficult for you. You know, you've said it's one of the hardest things you've ever had to do, but you have done it and you have achieved that. So I know personally, if there's anything that I'm taking away from this call, it's don't wait for the right time. There will probably never be a right time, but you can make it all happen. You're just gonna have to dig deep.
Exactly. And I think there's no right answer for anyone. It's just about, figuring out what it is that you want and what you want to do. But yeah, definitely, and I think personally, I don't know if I believe in the, you can have it all, you can do everything. It's a matter of making compromises and prioritizing, and something's got to give. And, I would love to be able to spend more time on work and more time with family and more time on myself.
Yeah.
But it's just about finding the right balance for you, depending on what you want to achieve.